What is up? Week 6. We are here already. This season's flying by, Bryce. How you doing?
Every season seems like it flies by because we look forward to it so much, and then every week it just seems like it's like every day. It seems like there's a Sunday. So, but I'm doing pretty well. Definitely excited for today. Some two really big projected high scoring games this week. So I'm kind of excited to watch some football. We had some good games yesterday as well. So been a pretty good weekend so far. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm excited. I got some teams that are doing well this year. I've got some that are not doing so well this year, but those ones I was kind of planning on being not so good in for Dynasty. But we got a lot of injuries this week, a lot of big injuries, a lot of running backs that are out. It's kind of a crazy year so far.
Yeah, I mean, just at the bottom, like you guys can see the banner, it'll show all these injuries. And we were talking before the show, some of the roster situations. It's definitely put us in. I've got one where I've got like 6 dudes on the list below that'll be going by, but it'll make questions interesting this week because I'm sure we'll get a lot of like even for example the first one we got in the queue here, we'll get a lot of this guy and some other backups that are filling in for some of these injured guys.
Yeah, well let's check right in on Anthony's question asking, do I play Dobbins or Dion Jackson in full PPR? Bryce, where are you going with this one?
I'm sticking with J.K. Dobbins. I know he's kind of been a little inconsistent in the few games that he's played this year. But the fact of the matter is the Ravens have the highest scoring or the better potential for scoring than the Colts. So I'll take that touchdown upside with J.K. Dobbins all day. What about yourself?
Yeah, same thing for me. I'm going J.K. Dobbins. I do think Dobbins is going to get the majority of the work for the Ravens, whereas I think Dion is going to be splitting some of that action with Phillip Lindsay and the such. So Dobbins is just typically very efficient in that Ravens offense. That running game is just typically very efficient, and I think they're going to have to lean heavily on him. So I'll go Dobbins as well. So while we're talking about the Ravens, obviously Rashad Bateman's been out here for a couple weeks. Do you think they should go out and get a wide receiver on the trade market to help out Lamar as well as he's playing? And with Bateman not being able to stay on the field, and he was even kind of inconsistent to start this season. Do you think they need to go out and get another receiving weapon to help out Mark Andrews and Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I don't think it could hurt. I'm glad you brought it up because I think this is the part of the season where it gets real exciting with trade talks. You know, we've heard a lot of these guys, and one of the names that came up that just came to mind was DJ Moore. I think, if you add a weapon to your offense that's better than what you have, obviously it's a good decision. And I think DJ Moore would be probably a really good fit in that offense. That way he could step in with the inconsistency and injury prone early in his career, Rashad Bateman. DJ Moore could be a nice staple in that offense outside of Mark Andrews. Any names come to mind for you?
Yeah, I agree. I think, they need that like shifty wide receiver. Bateman's kind of the 50-50 ball bigger on the outside. So when he's in there, they need that like slot receiver, right? We've seen a lot of success with Lamar and even what's his name that played for the Saints before he went to Baltimore and bounced around a little bit. The little slot receiver that was in Baltimore early in Lamar's career. What's his name? He had like a couple good seasons with the Saints early in his career, and then went to Baltimore, and I think he played in a couple of, either way, I think that Moore he's a much better receiver. He could fit that role, get open, in the shallow parts of the field and really help. So I do think that he's a good one.
I can't think of who your name is talking about.
As soon as it comes to my mind, you're going to be like, oh, no shit.
Is it like Kenny Stills?
No. I'll find it in just a second, but we'll get to Marco's question. He says, good afternoon, Heat Seekers. Where are you at, Marco? You got to let us know because it's 10:30 in the morning where Bryce and I are at. So it'd be interesting to see where you're at. Who should he start? Wando Robinson, Thornton, Shakir, or Scrotum? Who's Scrotum?
Remember, this. I think this guy asked the same thing on Tuesday. It's Ben Skoranek.
He calls him scrotum. I'm like,
yeah.
Who is this dude?
Willie Snead is who you were thinking of.
Willie Snead is who I was thinking of. I told you we'd be like, duh.
I was like, okay, I forgot about him.
So is Marco, is this yeah, that is his next thing, says who should I start?
Oof.
Man, it's hard. I probably go Wan'Dale Robinson is probably who I play because he's gonna have the least amount of competition, right? His competition is Darius Slayton. And I think that Dable is going to scheme Robinson open. This could really be any of them, though. Shakir has to battle with McKenzie coming back this week and, healthier. Thornton is just his second game, right? And yeah, I think I go Wan'Dale Robinson myself.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with him as well because it's the guy that I think has the most snaps. Like Thornton, Nelson Aguilar is hurt, so Thornton could come in there and play his role, but it's just that's just so risky. I mean, they're both risky because we haven't really seen anything from either of them. And Shakir, with like you said, with McKenzie coming back, I don't have much confidence. He's on the field a lot. Skoranek honestly could be your safest play, but
I would agree with that. Like if you need the safe play, Skoranek's probably going to get 3 to 4 targets and get you 6 to 8 points, like on the low end. So I could get on board with that if you really need the safe play. Shakir is probably another boom play, but with McKenzie back, I think Shakir's kind of relegated to backup, kind of like McKenzie was when Cole Beasley was out. You'd see him score 20 some points, and then as soon as Beasley was back, McKenzie was basically, not usable in a fantasy sense. So I kind of think that's what we see with Shakir this week. A lot of good young players that you've got there. Hopefully some of them break out for you the second half of the season. Here over on Facebook, Bryce, can you let me know who that is? I know I do this every week. So is this Castile? But Dallas has but Dallas has a good defense that doesn't give up a bunch of TDs. Lamar or Hurts. Then I have Pittman or Devonta Smith in standard scoring.
Sheesh.
Yeah, so the Lamar and Hurts thing, I think you're best off finding somebody that needs a quarterback and getting rid of one of those guys because you're going to have this headache every week. And honestly, we can pick one of these guys, but it literally could be either of them on any given week. So it's almost a flip a coin thing with those two. This is Pittman for me, probably in standard scoring. I think Devonta Smith's going to make most of his fantasy production on a PPR basis week to week with volume. So, I mean, I go Lamar and Pittman, but the Lamar and Hurts question is a very tough one.
Yeah, and Hurts is at home too. I people sometimes don't really bring that into a factor, but it is, especially against these two teams. I mean, this I would imagine this is almost game of the week. They might have probably the Bills and Chiefs, but if that wasn't happening today, this is the game everyone's excited for. I'm gonna go with Lamar as well against the Giants, and then I think I'll go Pittman Jr. as well. I think he has a better chance of finding the end zone. I mean, they're both these questions are toss-ups and good problems to have, though.
Yeah, I agree with you there. There's me hitting all kinds of buttons, making our screen go crazy. I'm just going to call him Tony. He's got the Bears helmet, so we want to give the best advice possible. Morning, guys. Having a rough one. Still looking for my first win in the lowest scoring team. PPR. Do I trade McLaurin and Pitts for J-Rob, then flipped? Let me do this again here. Trade McLaurin and Pitts for J-Rob, then flipped Justin Herbert and Alvin for Chase, B-Rob, and Gino. Wish me luck.
I'd imagine this is a redraft league.
Yeah, I'm just trying to soak all that in. So you traded McLaurin and Pitts for J-Rob, then flipped Justin Herbert and Alvin for Chase, B-Rob, and Geno. What are your thoughts on that there, Bryce?
So you acquired J-Rob, Chase, B-Rob, and Geno, and you got rid of McLaurin, Pitts, and Herbert. I mean, if this is redraft, I don't hate it because McLaurin and Pitts for me are not very good redraft assets. To where guys like, I still think Chase's best days are ahead of him. Geno Smith is a great redraft quarterback. He and Jared Goff are guys I think people just like overlook because of name value, but it's all about who's putting up points. So you got stronger at wide receiver, obviously, with Chase, and you definitely took a hit at running back. I think losing Kamara is not as worth J-Rob and B-Rob. So I mean, it just all depends on what your starting lineup looks for that. I don't hate it either way because I like Chase and Geno. So
I mean, at 0-5, you got to shake stuff up, right? You pretty much got to win out. So you got to do something. And with Pitts not playing, the Washington offense is a mess. So I don't mind it. I love Chase, and you're kind of buying him low too, because he hasn't been putting up the big weeks. So I think this can definitely work out, but you had to shake something up. So, you had to do something crazy.
Yep.
Pittman or Godwin in full PPR. Bryce, where are you going with that one?
I'm going Godwin today. I'm pretty sure Pittsburgh is missing their entire secondary. So Brady might just have a field day, and I'm going to hope that Godwin is a recipient of that fun day for him. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go with Godwin and just hope. I think Pittman, he obviously has a lot of upside in PPR as well, but I agree with you on the Tampa Bay offense, and Brady's thrown for over 350 yards the past 2 games, and I think that is going to be a high-scoring offense this week. We have Jerry Jeudy or Mr. Pierce from Indy. Where are you going with this one, Bryce?
Man, I really like Alec Pierce. Who do the Broncos play? That's a good question. They play Monday, I believe.
They play. It's Chargers, right? Is that Broncos Chargers this week?
Oh, I think so. Chargers secondary. Is J.C. Jackson still beat up?
Yeah, it's Broncos Chargers Monday night.
I'm gonna lean Jerry Jeudy here still. But this question's getting closer and closer every week. But I still think Jerry Judy's the better talent with the better quarterback, even though he's not really playing like it. But neither is Matty Ice. So I'll stick with Jerry Jeudy, but this is close.
Here's a fun stat just to throw in. Mr. Matt Ryan is on pace to break the fumbles record, and he's also leading the NFL in interceptions. It has really nothing to do with this because the volume's going to be there, but it's just a crazy stat for Matt Ryan. I'm going Jeudy as well. I just think the Broncos at some point, I think, are going to break out. I think that Jerry Jeudy is a better talent than Pierce, and Pierce has really only had one, like last week was like his kind of breakout game, right? So I'm not confident that that's going to be an every week thing at this point until that Indy offense figures it out. But I'm going to go with Jerry Jeudy and pray, basically. In my flex PPR, Dion Jackson, Alec Pierce, Michael Carter, or Pickens, but I already have D Johnson going. So PPR, who are you playing? Dion Jackson, Alec Pierce, Michael Carter, or George Pickens?
George Pickens for me. This one's it's between Pickens and Pierce, but it's still Pickens for me. Like we just talked about, I expect Tom Brady to have a field day, so Kenny Pickett's going to have to sit back there and throw the ball. Deontay Johnson's going to get majority of the targets because he seems like he always does, but Pickens could still get 8 to 10 targets himself. He's been productive now 2 weeks in a row, with both weeks Kenny Pickett playing 1.5 of those games. Seems like he's getting way more volume with him. I feel very comfortable putting Pickett and Deontay in my lineup. What about you?
Yeah, I think Pickens is the ceiling play here. Dion Jackson would probably be my number 2 just from a floor perspective, but I mean, I'm probably going Michael Carter over Pierce. Pierce is probably 4th for me.
Really? Okay.
But I'll lean Pickens for the upside, and if you need the safer play, Dion Jackson. Oh, I know we've asked Marco this before now, so he's over there in Germany.
Yeah.
Yep. And he said, yes, I'm the same guy.
Yeah, I remember.
I remember now. Full PPR from M Nasty, need a flex. McKenzie, J.K. Dobbins, or Zay Jones. Remember, Marvin Jones is out for the Jaguars. Where are you going with this one, Bryce?
I'm still going to stick with J.K. Dobbins in this situation. I just think that the touches and volume for him are going to be better than these other 2 guys. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going J.K. Dobbins as well. I think he's got the same ceiling as the other 2 guys with a higher floor because we know he's going to get touches. As soon as we think Zay Jones is going to be the number 2 or whatever in Jacksonville, that backfires. McKenzie, there's just a lot of mouths to feed in that Buffalo offense, so I think week to week maybe a little more inconsistent. But obviously huge upside in the Bills offense. So I'll stick with the 2 offenses I trust the most and go with J.K. Dobbins here, and then McKenzie would be my number 2. Marco says this whole roster is either on bye or IR. Have to start Dallas and Pacheco this week. Fantasy football can be a jerk sometimes. Good morning, gentlemen. Full PPR flex question. Amari Cooper versus the Patriots or Cortland Sutton versus the Chargers? I'm leaning Sutton. He seems to have a much safer floor, and that could be a shootout. I think I'm going Amari Cooper here. I think Amari Cooper and Brissett have a pretty good connection. There's not a lot of other passing options in that offense, and Amari Cooper can beat anybody, so I'm not worried about the matchup. Neither of them have great matchups. I think I go Cooper. What about you, Bryce?
I'm going to lean Sutton, like Jeff Fields is doing as well. I think that the Patriots are going to try and take away double Amari Cooper all game. I mean, there's not really much else to worry about outside of David Njoku when it comes to the passing game. So Belichick's always good at taking away a team's best wide receiver and will make you beat him with your second or third best. So I think that Amari Cooper still think he has a decent game, but I just think Sutton's floor is a little bit higher, and his ceiling is not much lower this week. Patriots don't really let up big plays, which is the one good thing about their defense. So
Ball glove blueprint. I'm gonna have to look into that. Let's see what that is. Already starting Debo Samuel at wide receiver 1 in a PPR league. I need to start 2 for wide receiver 2 in flex. Brandon Ayuk at Atlanta, DJ Moore at the Rams, and or Drake London versus San Francisco. Bryce, which 2 of these wide receivers are you going to play this week?
I'm going to go with DJ Moore. Now that PJ Walker is going to be quarterback, I think PJ is going to try and pepper him. So volume for him. And then I will lean Brandon Ayuk because of the matchup. Drake London is a better wide receiver, but the matchup is just not ideal. San Fran's defense is just really, really good all around, where Atlanta's is not. So Brandon Ayuk could have a nice little game there as the second wide receiver. And again, it doesn't really bother me to stack 2 wide receivers on a team, especially when they're playing Atlanta. What about you?
Yeah, man, this is tough because I'm still not confident in this Panthers offense. We don't know what we're going to see.
That's true.
Yeah,
it
man.
Can't be worse than Baker Mayfield. I mean, it literally can't be. Like,
right? I did notice that
is the worst possible.
Yeah, since like 2007, nobody's had a lower QBR through 5 games or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
and it was like a rookie, wasn't it? Wasn't it like Jamarcus Russell or who?
It was Jamarcus
rookie.
Russell. It was Jamarcus Russell, which he was obviously really, really bad. I probably go Ayuk and DJ Moore as well. The rookie, man, I
really like Drake London, but
I do too. I want to go London and Ayuk, but Yeah, man. I'm probably going Ayuk in London. It's just so hard to start DJ Moore until he gets out of. Hopefully they trade him. Then he'll be a weekly starter no matter where he goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Full PPR. Do I start Taysom Hill or Tyler Conklin this week? Well, with it looking like all the wide receivers are out for the Saints, I think it's Taysom Hill time. Because it looks like Michael Thomas and Olave are probably not going to play. They're going to need playmakers, and Taysom Hill is that guy. With all those guys out, what are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Taysom Hill might line at quarterback for at least 5 to 10 snaps today, whether it's their wildcat where he runs it in or whatever. But I'll take the guy that I'm confident will have the ball in his hands more than the other one.
Where are you going with this one? Melvin Gordon or James Robinson in standard scoring?
Standard. James Robinson against the Colts and Melvin Gordon against the Chargers. I'm going to go with, man, I don't like this one either. I'll go with, I like James Robinson as an athlete more, but I just think that Melvin Gordon has a better chance of getting in the end zone this week. So I'll lean Melvin Gordon, but it's close when it comes to standard scoring. What about you?
I'm gonna go James Robinson. I just think he's more talented at this point, and
he's definitely more talented.
It's a tough one though. It's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with James Robinson. I think Boone could end up being the bigger asset in that Denver backfield for the remainder of the season, because I just don't know that Melvin Gordon's really got it anymore. Now what that means, since I said that, is put Melvin Gordon in all your lineups because he's going to score 30 today. All right. He needs a running back 2 and a wide receiver 2 and a flex. So we got 3 players here. We need at least 1 running back and 1 wide receiver. Walker, Benjamin, Kirk, Pittman, Mike Williams.
It's pretty easy for me. This is Walker, Pittman, and Mike Williams. Yeah. Walker, Pittman, Mike Williams for me. What about you? Both running backs are good options this week, by the way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. I if I really need the safe route and I just don't need a 0, I go Walker, Benjamin, and Pittman. If I need ceiling, then I might go Eno, Pittman, and Williams. Running backs versus that Seattle defense have been monsters. Actually, all those games are just shooting out like crazy. Lots of touchdown upside on Arizona's side this week. So that's probably how I would. That's how I would go, right? We just know Mike Williams, right? This could be the Mike Williams 3-point week.
It seems like, though, he's been relatively consistent when Keenan's not on the field. Like, if Keenan Allen was on the field, I would almost probably lean Eno, Walker, and then Pittman. But no Keenan Allen. I just like Mike Williams too much. He just gets too many targets for me to ignore him. That's the only thing for me.
Yeah, and I definitely think that is the ceiling play, right? Is I think those running backs are like really close. I think you could go either way with those running backs. But the ceiling play would be to have Pittman and Mike Williams in there because they both have the 30-point ceiling with multiple touchdowns. With Freiermuth out, who's my best option here? Hayden Hurst, Irv Smith, Schultz, Evan Ingram, Conklin, Tanyan, Disley. Which tight end are you starting out of those?
I'm assuming all these guys are on the. Do you have all these guys, or are they on the waiver wire? Because if they're on the waiver wire,
this is waiver wire.
You need to add Schultz for when Dak gets back. But for this week, it's between Ingram and Conklin to me. I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram. I just like his volume now that Marvin Jones isn't in there, I think he can easily get around 10 targets like he did last week. So I'm going to go with Evan Ingram.
That's where I'm going as well. Yeah, I think it. I thought Evan Ingram was going to be good in this offense. It took a few weeks before he really got integrated, and they started getting. There's a lot of moving pieces on that offense. New guys from last year. So 10 targets last week. 6 catches? I think we see a lot of that going the rest of the season as they spread that ball around and Lawrence continues to improve. Monty says Pierce, Njoku, or DJ Moore. PPR. Where are you going with this one?
I'll go with, oh man.
Oh, he needs 2. So we're sitting 1. Which one we sitting?
I'll sit. Man, I really like this week for Njoku is the problem. I really value all these guys kind of equally. I'm going to sit the tight end, I guess. Alec Pierce is getting a decent volume recently, and then I think DJ Moore gets a lot of targets today with PJ Walker at quarterback. If I remember correctly, when PJ Walker played a couple games last year, DJ Moore had pretty decent weeks. So I'll go with the wide receivers here, but I don't really love it. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, dang it. I think I'm more confident that Njoku and Moore are going to get targets. So I think that's where I go. I just got to see a little bit more from Alec Pierce. And we've seen that offense dookie all over the place multiple times this year as well. I think they're still the only team to be completely shut out in a game, right? And that was the Colts.
No, Lions did last week.
Oh, yeah. So the Colts and the Lions are the only 2 offenses to be completely shut out this week. And that was against the Jags, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Jags defense shut them down. I'm going DJ Moore and Njoku, but, that Pierce could be breaking out in front of our eyes. Super chat from Mr. Ozzy, bumping him to the top of the list. Drop one for a kicker, Pacheco or Jaylen Warren. I'm dropping Pacheco, and the reason why is because he's behind 2 running backs right now. He needs, I guess, either one of those could have an injury to get him more touches, but I just think he's down, gonna get less touches unless a big injury does happen. Jaylen Warren only needs 1 to Najee, right? And then he's probably getting a lot more work, so that's probably where I go with it. Bryce?
Yeah, I agree. I think Pacheco's the better talent for sure. I think he's honestly the best talent on his team, but I don't think he knows the offense fully. So it might take him a year or 2. And if this is a redraft league, what's the point of waiting? The path to see the field more is with Jaylen Warren. So keep him on your roster and drop Pacheco.
Marco is back. And by the way, Ozzy, we appreciate that super chat. Thank you very, very much. Marco says if you could start 1 quarterback, 1 running back, and 1 wide receiver based on matchup, who would you start? 6 points for a TD and non-PPR.
Just out of everybody?
I mean, I'm starting Christian McCaffrey, Josh Allen, and Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, I mean, there's a handful of running backs, I guess, but I'm probably going to – actually, they're not really this week, actually, so – I guess I agree. I mean, looked into all the running back matchups, but the quarterback and wide receiver are easy.
Peter says, good morning, guys. Start, sit. Half PPR, half point per first down. Zay Jones or George Pickens? I think I go Pickens just because of ceiling. I think he has a higher ceiling. I do think Zay Jones has a pretty safe floor, though, this week. So I guess you could, if you really needed the safe play, then you could go with Jones. But Pickens, I think, clearly has the higher upside. What are you thinking there, Bryce?
Yeah, I'm a big George Pickens guy. If you've listened to me at all in the offseason or even during the season, definitely the better talent. I could see why this is a question because Zay Jones will probably demand majority of the targets, he and Evan Ingram. But George Pickens is second in line for targets as well. So, and Pat Freiermuth is out. So if they do get in the red zone, you'd think they'd look to the biggest body wide receiver, who is obviously George Pickens.
if they get into the red zone.
If they got in there a lot last week, they were down so bad that they didn't even try and kick field goals. Like, what was
right?
the point?
I mean, they've got the same problem that Chicago's got, right? Like Chicago moved the ball all Thursday, the game, got into the red zone 3 times and didn't score on any of them. That's what you see young offenses do. Struggle in the red zone, and when you have a rookie quarterback, that's gonna be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Gage says Najee or Lazard half PPR. Where are you going with this one, Bryce? I'm gonna let you go first on this one.
I'll go Najee. Horrible matchup when it comes to the run game, but I expect him to have a decent amount of receptions and targets. I'm just going to go with the guy I think gets the ball in his hands the most. So I'll go with Najee, but I don't really value these guys super far apart. What about you?
That's where I'm at now, right? Like if this was week 1 and we knew Lazard was the guy for Rodgers, then I think I'd probably go Lazard in that situation. But what we've seen is Randall Cobb has come on the past couple of weeks. We've seen Romeo Doubs come on the past couple of weeks, and they've still got Tanyan and Jones. And there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense where we know that the Steelers offense is going to be Najee, it's going to be Deontay, and it's going to be Pickens, right? It's going to be those 3 guys. And we know that pretty clearly at this point. So I'm going Najee. But it is always hard to sit one of Rodgers' wide receivers that we know is going to get some targets because it could be that week where they scored 2 touchdowns. But I'm going Najee. Ra says full PPR, sit 1. Rondale, Duvernay, Drake, Deontay. I think we can clearly, just from knowing us two, take Drake and Deontay out of this, and it's going to be between Rondale and Duvernay, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm sitting Rondale. I talked about it a few weeks ago, and especially with Rashad Bateman out, Duvernay, even though a kick return is unlikely, that's one way that he can score, and he's been a target for Lamar Jackson, even with Bateman on the field. So if they have to throw a lot, Duvernay's probably going to get the most work at wide receiver. Obviously, it's Mark Andrews is the leading receiver for this team, but I think I sit Rondale more here, even though that's tough because they've got that potential shootout with Seattle that we see a bunch of points, but I just think he could be the 5th option on any week where Duvernay is probably the number 2 option in the pass game.
Yeah, it comes down to the number 2 and then the number 3 options, right? Because Rondale's the number 3 behind, I would guess, Ertz and Marquise Brown, where Duvernay's just behind Mark Andrews. I'll go Duvernay as well. He stepped up nicely in the absence of Rashad Bateman, so he's given me no reason to expect him to do otherwise this upcoming week. So I'll stick with Duvernay. I'm pretty good at that too.
Yeah, and we know that Harbaugh was super stoked when they drafted Duvernay. Remember how freaking happy he was? Like that was that was somebody they really wanted. How do you feel about MVS moving forward? Chiefs wide receiver 1. I think at this point he kind of is, but the problem is Travis Kelce's, the number 1 really. But it's just they're spreading the ball around so much, right? None of the wide receivers are getting a lot of action. MVS has kind of been stepping ahead of the rest of the guys, but it's still hard to trust him week to week, even if he is the Chiefs wide receiver 1, right?
Right. I think the Chiefs are going to be one of the teams that maybe make a move for a wide receiver before the trade deadline. So I wouldn't feel comfortable at all with MVS. I don't feel comfortable, honestly, starting any of the Chiefs wide receivers. I just feel comfortable with Mahomes, Kelce, and at this point, Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
He also wants to know, is Christian Kirk still a lineup lock, even though he will be moving out of the slot? I think especially with Marvin Jones out, Kirk's just going to get too many targets to sit unless you have a really good option.
Yeah, I just had 2 pretty bad weeks these past 2, but like you just said, he's the number 1 option. He and Evan Ingram, I expected a lot of targets today. So he's not necessarily a lock, depending on who else you have. Like we've seen some questions earlier that have Christian Kirk and then still some better options. So he's not a lock, but if you don't have anyone better, I still feel very comfortable plugging him in my lineup.
Yeah, I think the thing is that Christian Kirk is in that kind of, for most people in their lineup, he wasn't taken until late. He was taken much later this year than he should have been because just people didn't like Christian Kirk, all summer getting, the jokes about the contract he got. And he was a super value. So the problem is that you do get into situations where you have a lot of good wide receivers that you took early, and then you add him to that late. So while a player of that caliber would typically be taken in the 6th round and would be a lineup lock, since he was such a value, a lot of teams do have a lot of wide receivers that are comparable to him. And that's why he's not necessarily a lock. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree.
Half PPR, Jakobi Meyers, Duvernay, or Dobbs. This is for Ben.
This is a little bit easier for me. I'll take Jakobi Meyers here. He's just commanding most of the targets. He's kind of coming out as a better wide receiver than people thought. I still don't think he should be a team's number 1 option by any means. Man, when he's on the field and he's healthy, and now with Bailey, his first game with Bailey Zappi, he looked pretty dang good. So I'll stick with Jakobi Meyers as the safe play. I would argue definitely that Devin Duvernay is a ceiling play. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm going Myers, and I think his ceiling's higher than it's ever been because he's not only getting the volume, but now he's actually scoring touchdowns after he got over that drought to start his career. So I'll go Myers as well. Should I trade away Derrick Henry for Josh Jacobs and Amon-Ra? I'm doing this.
Yeah, in both any format, I'm doing it.
Yep, I'm doing it. I'm doing it, Tyler. I think the Raiders are using Josh Jacobs like they've never used him before with McDaniels in town, and we are seeing big Josh Jacob weeks the past few weeks. So I think you get a comparable running back, but we know Amon-Ra is going to get peppered with targets when he's healthy. So I think you're getting a good 2-for-1 there. And obviously Derrick Henry is going to have some monster weeks. And you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I had Henry, but I think the 2 players make up for that. Full PPR, sit 1. Oh, this same question. Just to remind you guys, we go straight down the list. You only got to ask once, and I promise we will get to it. If you're in a hurry, we can, you can bump yourself to the top of the list with a super chat like we saw Ozzy do here a few minutes ago, but you only got to answer once, and I promise we will get to it. SB Light wants to know, would you drop Kyle Pitts?
No, there's no way I'm dropping a talent like that. Unless there's like some crazy options on the waiver wire. I'll hold the talent and hope maybe that he can maybe put things together the second half of the season.
It would have to be a good talent for me to drop him, but I think it's something that has to be in consideration because he's just not producing, right? And you need, and especially in redraft, you need production. And I don't want to carry 2 tight ends, right? And I don't want to just continue pumping somebody into my lineup that is not producing. He's being out-snapped by other tight ends that are not nearly as talented as him. He is getting a lot of a high target share on his snaps, but I would try to hold out for another week or 2, but if we don't see any changes with Kyle Pitts usage and production, then I think it's something that you have to consider. But I would try to see after he was out of game, how it all plays out going over the next week or 2. But it is something to start considering. And with bye weeks coming up, you got to have players to throw in there. It's getting. I would try to trade them first, though. Would you drop Philly defense or Dallas defense? I've been running Dallas D with lots of success, but Philly D is insane this season. I'm looking rest of season, not just this week. What are their bye weeks? That would be my big question is, can you hold both of them until one of them has their bye and then drop?
I'm running definitely Philly this week over Dallas because it's going to be harder to sack Jalen Hurts for sure. I don't know. And then I probably would prefer Dallas the long term because I just think they have they have better pass rushers and better ball hawks. They don't really necessarily have a better secondary, but they have guys that get more interceptions. If that makes sense. Like Javon Diggs might get roasted, but he also might have a nice an interception any week. So
here's what I would personally do, right? So Phillies have a bye week next week. So I would try to hold Dallas and Philly through next week. And then after that, you have Dallas on bye week 9. So if you can hold both and then drop Dallas after Philly comes back, I think that's the play. And then you could just play Philly the rest of the year, right? And not have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Because I think they're both good, and I don't want to hold too long-term, but if you can get through next week's bye, then you don't need both. You can just start Philly the rest of the year. Marco says, yes, everybody, it's German Fantasy Manager. Can start a new one each week up to 5 times a season. I don't remember what that was alluding to.
Me either.
Breece Hall worth a start in flex PPR. Don't have many options. This is over on Facebook. You know who this is?
It's Castillo.
I think he's worth a start. I think he's starting to get a lot of work in that backfield and take over, and is being very productive both in the run game and in the pass game.
Oh yeah, he's a start, and he's an easy start in the flex position. I feel very comfortable as having him in my lineup as a running back too as well. So yeah, absolutely, he's worth a start.
Start 1: Otten, Gentry, or Fant.
Is Cameron Brate playing this week?
I don't think it matters, to be completely honest.
Really? Man, I really like that game though with Seattle and Arizona.
But is Fant even the number 1 tight end, or is it this?
Yeah, he's the number 1. He's the better talent. They're just both on the field all the time. I'll go with Otten. That defense is going to get picked apart today, and I'm going to hope that Otten finds himself in the end zone once or even maybe twice this week. But I like both Otten and Fant this week as options.
Yeah, I'm going Otten. I just think that he's kind of breaking out as the tight end in Tampa Bay. Highly targeted the last 2 weeks. Maybe not the upside of Fant, but I mean, Disley's the one getting the touchdowns in the production, right? Like it's just hard to play Fant right now, and and I'd rather go with the quarterback I trust the most as well when looking at these 3 tight ends, right?
Yep.
Start Dillon or Dobbs. Where are you going with that one? This is from Mark.
Oh, man, at this point, I think I'm going to go with Dobbs. Dillon's just been inconsistent. Aaron Jones is the guy that they go to in the pass game. Seems like Dobbs is becoming a favorite for Aaron Rodgers. He gets red zone targets every week, it seems like. So I'll go with Dobbs, hoping he falls in the end zone. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'm going Dobbs as well. That, I had high hopes for Dillon this year, and it's just not panning out so far early on in the season, but that could always turn around. But I'm going Dobbs as well. Ross says, appreciate the feedback, fellas. No problem at all. And then we have another Mark coming up. Walker or Henderson, full PPR. Where are you going with that one?
I'm going with Henderson. The Panthers defense is not very good against the run. Cam Akers is now done with the Rams. I don't think he plays another down with them. He gets released or traded here soon. I do like Walker, but I want to see what he does a full week as a starter before I plug him in. When we need Henderson to be efficient when he's the main back there, getting not only now the majority of the rushes, but all the pass down work like he was getting even when Cam Akers was healthy. What about you?
I'm going Walker in the potential shootout there. I think he can catch a ton of passes in that offense as the guy. So I'm going Walker. Little split decision there. This is why we typically try to have 3 people on here, right? So we don't have any split decisions. Hey, guys, just dropped a sub, like, and notification. Got a question I've been trying all day to get answered. Well, first off, Brandon, we appreciate you. And if you're not Brandon, you should be doing the same thing that he did. This is the smartest thing he's done this morning. We'll be happy to. We'll move down here. That's what I was looking for. I have Zach Ertz. Should I drop Darren Waller to stash Rashad White? My team is Kyler, Saquon, Ramondre, Chase, Adams, Keenan, Myers, Mostert, Clyde Edwards, Deion Jackson, Breda, Herbert, and 2 tight ends. I would drop Breda for him.
Yeah, there's no way I'm dropping Waller.
Yeah, I would keep Waller and drop Breda.
Yep, pretty easy.
See, and Brandon, just to give you an idea, I am not a handcuff guy, right? I would rather have my opponent's backups so that when a player goes down, I now have 2 running backs that I could play, right? Instead of wasting a roster spot with a backup. Because like Breda literally has 0 value while Saquon's healthy. So you're taking up 2 spots for 1 starter because you're never going to play both, right? So that's kind of my thought process on handcuffs in general, right? Now it is nice if Saquon goes down and you have somebody to plug right in, but with the amount of running backs you have, you can start Ramondre, Mostert, CEH. So you've got options there. But it's nice, like with Herbert, you can play him as a standalone flex play, but if he goes down, now you have a solidified running back 2 to throw in your flex spot, right? And you're not wasting 2 roster spots on that. So I would drop Breda for sure. Now got to go back up. Taysom Hill or David Njoku, full PPR. If you say Hill, would you drop Njoku, Philly D, or Dallas D? I have Hawkinson on bye as my tight end 1, so I'd be looking for a PPR starter this week and backup rest of season. What are you doing here, Bryce?
I'm going to start Taysom Hill and not drop any of those options. Taysom, like I said earlier, Taysom Hill is going to line up at quarterback for a plethora of maybe not a plethora, but at least a couple of snaps today. So I'll keep him on there. Let Njoku stay on the waiver wire and take that advice Rick had earlier about keeping the 2 defenses, especially for next week, and then dropping. Then I would maybe drop Dallas's defense after next week and pick up Njoku if he's still there. What about you?
Yeah, I think he's saying that he's got Njoku on his team, right?
Oh, okay. Then I would do the opposite. Yeah, I would just. Would you drop? No, I'm not dropping Njoku for Hill. I'm gonna keep David Njoku and then start him. So I would do the exact opposite.
Yeah, because I think Hill. I think once we get Thomas, Landry, Olave all healthy, like Hill is not going to be a startable option, right? But with those guys out, he could have a big week. But long term, I think Njoku is more valuable for you at tight end. And you could go ahead and drop Philly, right? And play Dallas for the next 3 weeks, then pick up a filler while Dallas is on bye in week 9 and just play a filler defense there. So Philly would be the first one that I would drop because we know you can't use them next week. And then just pick up a filler when Dallas is on bye in week 9. You could do that as well, right? If you want to start Hill and don't want to lose Hill or Njoku, I would do that as well. Pollard or Najee Harris, man, how bad? We talked about this preseason, right? I was worried about Harris. But the fact that we're down here now trying to decide between Najee Harris and Pollard is a very sad situation for people that took Harris in the top 8 of their drafts, right? Like this is like the worst nightmare. But we're seeing that with a lot of the first round running backs, right? None of them have been outstanding for the entire season. But where are you going with this one?
I know Dallas's run game has been pretty productive, but they're playing against the best defense they played against yet this season. I'm going to stick with Najee. I know his matchup is not as great, but again, I think the ball is going to be in his hands more this week. Pollard is the guy that gets a lot of his points on the big play. I think the Eagles do a good job of avoiding big plays on them. So I'll go with Najee in this matchup. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think at some point they have to get Najee more involved in the passing game like he was last year. Their offensive line's terrible. He's not even the most efficient guy running between the tackles and stuff. So you're literally taking the majority of his value away from your actual NFL team when you're not getting him involved in the passing game, right? So I think that's something that Pittsburgh has to do. And I also think that Mike Tomlin and that staff are smart enough to figure that out. I mean, what is going on at your house today?
I don't know. Delilah's making a whole ruckus out there in the kitchen.
Damn it, Delilah.
What are you doing in there? Oh, she's mopping.
Jesus, Bryce. You make her mop on Sunday mornings? That's rude.
I don't make her. She's choosing to do it.
McKenzie, Zay Jones, or Pittman, 0.5 PPR. Start one.
This is Pittman easily for me. Yeah.
Easily Pittman for me. Pittman. Chris L. in a little bit of a bye week injury trouble. Do I start Phillip Lindsay or Zay Jones in 0.5 PPR? I honestly think I go with Phillip Lindsay here.
Really? Yeah, Zay Jones is probably the third option behind the tight end and Kirk. I just don't know about who's going to get used back there the most. Like Phil, we know that Phillip Lindsay is not a guy that gets involved in the pass game. I think he could be the safer play for sure, but
and that's my thought in a half PPR. It's obviously less important. If it was a full PPR, I'd probably go Zay Jones, but Zay Jones literally, it might literally be just PPR, right? Like 6 catches for 40 yards. So we're looking at a 7-point week, and Phillip Lindsay had 11 carries last week. I could see him in between the 11 to 15 carries this week. And Phillip Lindsay's always been a pretty efficient runner though, right? So I think it's pretty close in a 0.5 PPR. I think it would definitely be Zay if it was full PPR, and it would definitely be Phillip Lindsay if it was standard. But we're right there in the middle. It is really close. And I do think Phillip Lindsay, the safe play, if you do need ceiling, I think Zay Jones has a better shot for a ceiling.
I agree.
T. Higgins for me. This one for Patty Mills, I think it's pretty easily T. Higgins for me. I just trust him more than Walker at this point. But Walker is still a good start. I would be trying to find ways to get both of them in there. What are you thinking there, Bryce?
Yeah, I was looking at T. Higgins because I think he is a game time decision. Okay, he is expected to play per Rappaport's tweet. So I will also go T. Higgins. Also, Marshawn Lattimore is out this week, so I would imagine they are going to try and contain Chase, which usually leads T. Higgins to have a nice week. So I'll go T. Higgins as well. Here's one. I knew we were going to get this eventually.
Yep, I did too. I'll let you answer this one first.
Man, I'll go with Eno Benjamin this week. Seattle just is so bad against the run game, and when Eno came in last week, when James Conner was having a good week. Started off to get set for 50. Eno Benjamin came in, was active in the pass game, and did very well on the ground. He should be able to do the same thing and more against a weak Seattle run game. I'll go Eno Benjamin.
Is Delilah messing with your internet connection or what?
No, why? Am I cutting out?
You're kind of cutting out there. It sounds like you got Sprint service or something.
I'm just not hardwired. That's probably why. Eno Benjamin.
I'm going Eno as well for all the reasons you said. It's tough. Ken Walker, I think, is clearly the better talent, but Seattle just can't stop anybody, and that makes for fun little shootouts. But Eno, I think, will be involved in both the pass game and the run game. So I'm going to go with Eno here in that matchup. Pick 2, Algier, Palmer, Elijah Moore, PPR. See, these are the questions right here from Vito. Palmer's in there for me. So Palmer's the safe one. It's picking between Algier and Moore. And unfortunately, for the first couple weeks that we get to see Algier as the main back, he has some rough matchups, right? So last week he was only like 13 for 45 after looking good the week before in a tough matchup, and then he gets another one this week. Elijah Moore just has been the third wide receiver, right? Basically the fourth option in the pass game so far this year. So I think I go Algier, even though I don't see a huge game coming, but we know he's going to get touches, and we don't know about Elijah Moore right now in that pass game.
Yeah, I agree. It's Palmer and Algier for me. I'm just going to hope Algier gets a little bit more involved in the pass game because he could have the same receiving stats as Elijah Moore with a similar amount of targets the way Moore's been getting used.
I have Zach Ertz. Should I drop?
We
already did this one, huh?
Yeah.
We got
it was already posted when you gave the warning. So but I saw it earlier.
Oh, gotcha. Deion Jackson or DK
Metcalf.
DK Metcalf. Would you keep Penny in a half PPR dynasty? I would.
Yeah, why not? Hope he lands somewhere where they're running back needy. Maybe he gets a chance because I mean the dude's good. It's just injuries have really killed his career. It's kind of sad.
Yeah, I mean it always depends, right? If there's a good option that you can pick up to replace him, then who knows if he'll ever stay on the field, but most of the options in Dynasty are not very good. So it would really depend on what is available. Thanks for the defense advice, guys. I will hold both until next week, then consider dropping one. Covering the bye week is crucial. Can't take a 0. True story there. And Jeff, thanks for coming in, supporting. If you guys haven't, please just smash that like button. That helps tell YouTube to tell other people to join, and that is a big help to us. We appreciate that. Rondell Moore, Romeo Dobbs, Deontay Johnson, or Isaiah McKenzie, half PPR. Thanks in advance. From JC. Deontay Johnson for me.
Yeah, it's not even really close.
I with Pickett back there and second start, I do think Romeo Dobbs is in I actually think the latter three are in conversation, but I am going with Deontay Johnson.
Yeah, 13 targets last week.
Yeah, but are they 13 good targets?
2 of them he should have caught. He dropped them.
Well, we do know he
expecting him. Yeah,
we do know that he has some dropper issues.
He had drop issues, and then last year he had like one of the fewest amount of drops for percentages for his targets, and then now it's like a problem again. So,
Zabby says Deion Jackson or Mike Boone.
I'll go with Deion Jackson here. I think that Mike Boone could end up becoming a guy that takes over. But it's going to be Melvin Gordon until he fumbles like he has been already this season. So I'll go Deion Jackson.
Yeah, and I also believe Deion Jackson's going to be more active in the pass game, which is just like an extra bonus. I don't know that Mike Boone is going to be targeted a ton in the pass game. So it is definitely Deion Jackson for me. Ray wants to know, Taysom Hill or Alec Pierce for the flex spot? I think I'm going Hill. With all them guys out, not playing, I think I'm going to Hill.
Yeah, Hill has the best. I mean, he could literally rush, throw, or catch a touchdown today.
Yeah, there's not many.
He's only going to catch it.
There's not many. There's not many players in the NFL that have more ways to score you fantasy points than Taysom Hill, right? So he doesn't get used very much as a tight end. So that's just like a formality. That he's listed at a position. He's just, I mean, they should just make a Swiss Army knife position and throw Taysom Hill in there as the only one in the NFL. Right. So I'm going with Hill there with everybody injured. If everybody was in, or if we find out that Olave and Michael Thomas, who are doubtful, but
Michael Thomas is ruled out.
He's out.
Yeah, he's ruled out.
Yeah. So if, it could change if we found out that Olave was in there, because then that takes a lot off of Hill. But with those guys out, Hill's they have to use him in the offense, right? Whether they like to or not, they have to.
There's just nobody else.
Symbolic Scar says Jimmy G, Russ, or T-Law. Which one of these guys are you starting, Bryce?
Oh, geez. I would almost look who has the worst matchup. It's probably Jimmy G, right? I mean, none of these guys really have much rushing upside. Who do I think can score the most touchdowns? Russ is against the Chargers, whose defense is pretty good. The Colts defense have been pretty good this year as well. Their secondary is not bad. Jimmy G plays against Atlanta. Like, I just think Jimmy G might be your best option here. It's your safest option. If I'm going ceiling, I'm probably going to lean T-Law. But I'll go with Jimmy G as a safe option. I hate
it. It's funny how week 6 we're in a completely different space than we were before week 1, right? Because
like that, yeah.
Russ was going to be the guy. I had him as a top 5 quarterback going into this year, and it doesn't work out, right? And then you got to be fluid. You got to switch. And I agree. Jimmy G is probably the play here. Yeah, it's tough, but I probably go Jimmy G. Thomas Gage wants to know, and I already know your answer, so we won't even waste your time. It's my answer as well. Waddle or Lazard, half PPR. It's Waddle. You know, even with the third quarterback starting here, I'm going Waddle over Lazard. This one may be silly. So is this Castile again? But Goddard or Taysom Hill at tight end in a standard league. So it's not PPR.
This is Castile. So yeah, it is standard.
So which one you going with there, Bryce? I'll let you answer this one.
Jeesh. Man, Taysom Hill has like probably the highest touchdown opportunity for anybody.
Outside of Kelsey, because
right.
He could have 4.
Kelsey or Andrews. Andrews is obvious too. Like outside of those two, really, there's nobody that's like separating themselves. If this is PPR, it's Goddard easily for me. But I think with standard scoring, I'm going to lean Taysom Hill.
Yeah, he's like we just talked about. He's got too many ways that he can score a touchdown, and that's what you're looking for, especially in a standard league at tight end. If it's not PPR, if it's PPR, I do go Goddard, and
I do too.
And just pray. That's a tough one, just because Taysom Hill could be used so creatively in this game with those guys out. Amon or Amanster, however you say your name, Dion Jackson, Alec Pierce, George Pickens at flex, full PPR. I think you're going George Pickens, right?
I am going George Pickens.
I'm going George Pickens as well. I do like the Colts options long term, but I think Pickens just has the upside here. Zabby says 0.5 PPR, play T Higgins ankle if he's active, or play Romeo Dobbs. It's Higgins if he's active.
Yeah, Higgins if he's active rather easily.
Poker reels. I like that. Oh, poke reels. Never mind. It's Pokemon. I misconstrued that there. Okay, and I saw poker, and my buddies on day 2 of the MSPT in Michigan going for 340 grand. So thinking poker this morning, but this is Poke reels. Oh, shoot. Myers, Rondell Moore, or Robinson. So I'm assuming this is Jacoby Myers. And
yeah, it's got to.
I'm assuming this is James Robinson, but it's Jacoby.
It could be Allen. It could be Allen Robinson too.
Or it could be Allen, but it's Myers for me no matter what. Yeah,
Myers for me as well.
Would you drop Matt Ryan for Zach Wilson in standard scoring? Absolutely. Yeah. I would rather have Zach Wilson. Lamb or Waddle in PPR scoring. I think this one's a little more interesting with both of them having backups, but Cooper Rush has actually been playing pretty solid and is undefeated in his starts. Which one you going with there, Lamb or Waddle?
Man, if it was Tua and Dak starting, it'd be Waddle for me easily. Oh man, I freaking hate these questions. Why can't I have this issue? The main thing. I'll go with Lamb. I'll go with Lamb. I'll go with the guy I think gets more targets, because I think Waddle definitely benefits from that Tua connection that he had from college, where today I could see Thompson leaning more towards Tyreek Hill, because I think Tyreek Hill he's the best. He's arguably the best in the NFL at creating separation, especially on short routes, which I see him doing a lot today.
I am also going Lamb. Kyle Pitts is active.
Yep. T. Higgins is also officially active. He was supposed to be a game time decision.
And Devonta Adams is unlikely to be disciplined by the NFL until after the legal process for his case concludes. So that's probably not going to be until after the season. So if he does face a suspension, that'll probably be 2023, I would assume, because I assume that doesn't get through the court process. I assume Adams' attorneys will, stretch that out to get past this season. Unless they just continue losing and he says, well, I'll eat it this year since we're losing.
Right.
And,
why not?
And take it now instead of later. Marco says, thank you for the great help as always. And Jesus Christ says, just got offered JT and Deontay Johnson for Stephon. Thoughts? So would you take Jonathan Taylor and Deontay Johnson for Stephon Diggs?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if JT comes back, JT is the most valuable play in this trio, right? Like, he is the guy that would be drafted first if he's healthy. And you're getting a wide receiver back that I think is going to especially have higher upside going forward. The first couple games with Pickett is, tough matchups. So I take it. It is risky though, because if this injury lingers for JT, then you've obviously taken a hit going from Diggs to Deontay. Luckily, Deontay is still, a good play, but if JT can't play a lot for you, then you do take a hit. But I do take the trade.
Yeah.
Clip City, Chip City, DJ Moore or Duvernay?
I thought I said DJ Moore earlier today.
I think we both did.
Yeah.
Even though we don't love it.
Still. Yeah.
Same here. Good morning. Full PPR, AJ Dillon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Thank you very much and have a nice day. I mean, I feel like people got out of church and Jesus is here, and then this guy has Jesus on
Mark
a cross.
McCauley.
I'm going Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah, easily Clyde Edwards-Helaire for me. Who knows?
Hayden Hurst is also active. Why is Taysom Hill projected to score only 3.42 full PPR? That's probably because everybody was game time decisions, and that projection would changes drastically if Olave, Michael Thomas, all those guys are out. His usage goes up. That's probably a big reason why. But full PPR, start one at flex: Jacoby Myers, Drake London, or Kareem Hunt. Where are you going with this one?
I'm sticking with Jacoby Myers. Out of these three options, Drake London's got a terrible matchup today. Kareem Hunt, I honestly don't mind Kareem Hunt today, but I'll stick with Jacoby. When he's on the field, man, he's got a safe floor, and now that he found the end zone with Bailey Zappi or whatever, I just really like Jacoby Myers as an option in my lineup.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you on that one. No arguments. That's the one we just answered again. Poke Real says, thank you guys much. Love, I dropped a follow and like. Thank you very much. We appreciate that. That means a lot to us. Anybody else that's out there, take the advice. Well, it's not advice really. Just follow the leader here and drop a follow and a like. Mike Smith, Jacoby Myers, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, flex spot. George Kittle's out for me. Like, I just had an argument or a debate with somebody a couple of weeks ago before Kittle came back, talking about how Kittle's just right now he's living off name recognition. He has really only been a startable tight end 35 games before he came back. So now we're at what, 37, 38. So between injury and then just a lack of production on the field since Ayuk and Debo got there, Kittle isn't the same guy that, was breaking records in what that would have been 2018, I think. Mm-hmm. We're a long way from that. 2018, 2019, yeah. Right?
It's probably 19. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are a long way from that. So he's out of this for me, and it's going to be Jacoby Myers, just a safer play, similar upside as Ayuk, and that's where I'm going with it.
Yeah, Chris Olave is officially inactive, along with Mac Jones as well. It's Jacoby Myers for me as well. I had the same argument with somebody like a week or two ago who tried to like give me Kittle and a couple of other people that wouldn't even start for me for Mark Andrews, and I was like, Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce are like 1A and 1B, and it's a redraft league. And he tried to tell me that Kittle has got a higher ceiling than Mark Andrews. I'm like, 3 years ago maybe, but what have you done for me lately? Like, especially in redraft leagues. So it's just funny that you had the same argument with somebody.
Yeah, I mean, obviously George Kittle has talent, right? He is a very talented individual, but the production just has not been the same
Right.
from a fantasy perspective. He has boom weeks and then a lot of weeks that are a complete bummer with 5 or less points. And I don't remember all the stats. I do remember that there was only, I think, 5 games of over 15 fantasy points in that stretch since 2020 started. And there was like 8 games of under 5. And then most of them were in between 5 and 10, which is still a startable tight end. But against 2 wide receivers, there's no way that I would be throwing him in there. One more, Rondale Moore or James Robinson in the flex?
I'll go with James Robinson here.
I'm going to go James Robinson as well, but I do think this week could be a Rondale Moore breakout week with that potential shootout.
If you need ceiling, I would go Rondale Moore.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He could get a lot of work against the Seattle defense. So I would go James Robinson for, if you need just a solid floor and a solid upside, and then Rondale Moore if you just need to swing for the fences. Eno or Ken Walker? We did this one earlier, and we both went with Eno. It was the same exact pair, Walker and Eno. And we both went with Eno there. That's going to be a pretty good trio you got there.
Yeah.
PPR sit 1, ETN, Adam Thielen, Isaiah McKenzie. We're sitting one of these guys. Which one are you sitting, Bryce?
Did Adam Thielen do anything last week? I can't remember.
Last
I
week
would
have been. No, last week was the Bears game, right? That's when they played the
4
Bears.
For 27.
And Justin Jefferson went ham. He had like 10 receptions in the first half or something.
Yeah, but he hasn't had a bad season. So I mean, the week before that he had 8 for 72. The week before that 6 for 61 and a touchdown. I'll sit ETN here. I'm gonna take Adam Thielen and Isaiah McKenzie. I think I want any part of that Bills and Chiefs game, and then I think Adam Thielen's got a nice safe floor for you. Where ETN, I guess he's got ceiling play, but I steered clear of him because I thought that James Robinson would still be a part of that offense. So I'll sit ETN. What about you?
I think I sit. Yeah. It's in between Thielen and ETN for me. I'm playing McKenzie. I want pieces of that Bills offense when I can get them.
I'm looking at ETN's recent stats too.
He's been getting more involved, I believe. Still not great usage, but
yeah. So he's got 11 receptions this year, though. I thought he'd have a lot more.
Yeah, I'll sit ETN and start Thielen and McKenzie. We know Thielen's got the best touchdown upside out of this group, right? Even if he only catches 4 passes for 27 yards, it could be with 2 touchdowns. So I think that's definitely the way to go. We have some more news here. Raheem Mostert is active.
Yeah.
So he is active. Damien Harris is out. I don't remember if you said that one.
I might have forgot that one. I knew he wasn't going to play this week. Like he was pretty much doubtful.
Well, the news this morning was he was running through pregame. And then they were going to make a decision. So obviously that did not go well. But he is out. Higgins, Hurston, just to go over these again. Jones, Harris out. Kyle Pitts in. Mostert in. Olave out. That's everything that's up on my notifications here, making sure I don't miss any others. Braulio here has a question, and It is. Would you start Michael Gallup or Romeo Dobbs?
I'll go with Dobbs. I just think he gets the red zone. He gets red zone targets every week. So I'll take that touchdown upside with Aaron Rodgers throwing him the ball.
It's close for me. I think this is a good question.
It's not far off for sure.
I want to go to Gallup. I just feel like the veteran number 2 option in the Cowboys offense is where I want to be. But it is close. It's very close. And I hate splitting the room, but I think I go Michael Gallup here.
Okay.
That is the last question that we've got. We've got about 15 more minutes. If you have any more questions, make sure you get them down in there, and we can hang around here until about noon, unless we don't get any in the next few minutes. Then we'll call it an early day. But we've been active since 10:30 this morning. We appreciate everybody coming out. If you guys want, we do have a DraftKings lineup this week, or contest for any Roto Heat members. I'm going to copy that link. I'm going to drop that in the chat here. If you would like to join our $5 DraftKings lineup, we have 20 spots. How many we got full here? I'm always way too late. So we already have 9 out of 20 in there. So jump in that contest if you want. Also, our Discord is free. We have people active at all times here. Let's see. Let me get the link to that, and we can drop that in the chat as well. So join our Discord, and you can ask questions throughout the week, and we will be there to help you all week long. So there's some stuff for the chat. Join those. We'll give it a few more minutes here. If we don't get any more questions, we will call her a Sunday and then be back next Sunday. Checking my messages here. Do you like Patriots defense today over the Vikings defense?
Who do the Vikings play?
You have to give me 1 second. I'm reading a message.
I probably like the Patriots defense. Jacoby Brissett was drafted by New England. I think Bill Belichick's going to be able to play them very well. If they can stop, they're gonna probably spend a lot of their focus on stopping that run game. Their run defense has gotten significantly better. I'll go with New England. Their pass rush is good this year with Judon. They get a lot of coverage sacks because for some reason New England will lose their best corner and then find 2 dudes in the 5th round or undrafted free agents that are just hidden gems every single year, which they've done with Marcus Jones. Jonathan, our main corner is out today, Jonathan Jones, but guys have stepped up. Our safeties are good. I'll go with the Patriots. I think it's going to be a low scoring, boring game like most New England games are this year, unfortunately.
He says or Cleveland or Indy or Miami. So he's got all kinds of options.
Cleveland is missing, I believe, Ward. I think Ward and Clowney are out. I think that hurts Cleveland big time. I'm probably sticking away from Cleveland. Indy against Jacksonville. I don't like that game for Indy that much either. And Miami plays. I don't even know who Miami plays. But their defense doesn't get a lot of sacks either. So I'll go with New England out of all those options.
Dolphins play the Vikings.
Yeah, I'll definitely stick
Green Bay over them all, right?
Green Bay plays I just looked at this a second.
Jets. Yes.
Jets.
The answer is Green Bay out of all those teams.
Yeah.
Green Bay, then the Patriots are my 2.
Yeah, I'll go Green Bay, then Patriots. Zach Wilson's really bad at throwing the ball away. He just will take sacks. So
Higgins or Dylan, PPR. This is for Andrew.
Higgins. Yeah, Higgins.
For sure. Higgins for me as well. How does Melvin Gordon look rest of season? He's available in my league. Also, would you start Gordon over Eno Benjamin today? I'm starting Eno Benjamin over Gordon today, but I wouldn't let Gordon sit on the waiver wire if I have an option to drop, but I wouldn't drop somebody good for Gordon because I do think Mike Boone eats into a lot of his production over the course of the season because I just don't think Melvin Gordon's that good anymore. And he fumbles a lot. Bryce.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't mind Melvin Gordon for the rest of the season, but if he keeps fumbling the ball, it's going to give Mike Boone the opportunity. But I'm not sure how much good Boone is in the pass game. Like Melvin Gordon is a pretty good running back out of the backfield, so he might just be involved in at least that sense. But I definitely am putting in Eno Benjamin rest of season, or I'm sorry, for this week. But I think Gordon's outlook rest of season is better than Eno's as long as James Conner gets back to healthy.
Poke Reel says, sorry guys, I got 2 leagues. I appreciate the advice. No problem. Ask all the questions you want. That is what we are here for. And then he asked, excuse me, do you think Higgins can be trusted?
Yeah. I think Higgins can be trusted.
Yeah, as long as he starts, I'm playing him. Unless they specifically come out and say that he's limited, he's going to play on a snap count, that type of stuff. Unless that is made clear by the coaching staff, then I'm fine with playing him as long as he is there. Start Pickens, London, or Dobbins in my flex. This is for Timothy over there on YouTube, full PPR. Pickens, London, or Dobbins.
I like Pickens better than London, but I think I like Dobbins better than Pickens. I'll stick with J.K. Dobbins. What about you?
Yeah, it's going to be Dobbins for me as well. I agree. Pickens probably over London. But I don't know, man. Those two are close, but I'll just take the touches that I know I'm going to get from Dobbins and just hope that he has one of his boom weeks. And that would be awesome. Poke Reel says, last week really made me mad.
Oh, because he got hurt. So, I mean, it's not really his fault. It's not like he went out there and just.
Oh, talk about Higgins. Yeah.
Yeah. Crap the bed. It was just more of.
I had the same thing with Darren Waller, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's just, it's unfortunate for sure. All right. Boone or Rondell Moore in the flex. Also, it's Rondell Moore. He's got way more upside this week. And I think it's going to take time for Boone to earn a real big role, but that Arizona offense, any of those players could go for 25 this week against the Seattle defense that just turns every game into a shootout.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going Rondell until I see Boone get a consistent workload.
Clip City Chip City says Duvernay or Christian Kirk in a standard league.
Wow, standard. I think standard league. I'm going to go with Duvernay. I think he just got the touchdown upside over Kirk.
I think I agree. I think Duvernay's got multiple touchdown upside every week.
If this was PPR, I'd go Christian Kirk.
It's Kirk easy for me. Duvernay and standard, I think. Okay, thanks. I'll stash Boone. Someone dropped him. I think he's worth a hold. I do too. I do think Boone's worth a hold. And he's somebody that's going to be easy to drop if a better option comes up, right? If he's not getting a bunch of work. I think that Boone will be somebody that you can easily drop and you're not going to have a bunch of questions around him. He's either going to be a clear starter most weeks or somebody that you're just going to, replace with somebody off the waivers. And Clip City Chip City says, you guys are great. We appreciate that. We are here to help you guys out every Sunday morning from 10:30 a.m. Eastern to around noon, unless we have a bunch of questions. We stick around a little bit longer than that, but and then you can also catch the Dynasty Heat Seekers on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. and the Fantasy Inferno, which is a redraft show every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Plus, we drop around 20 shorts every week on start sits. Tons of value in the shorts. You get them over real quick. Nice little info 20-second clips to help you guys out. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of that fun stuff. It's Monster says Amari Cooper, Eno Benjamin, Deontay Johnson, For the flex, thank you in advance. Which one of these guys are you starting in the flex?
I'm gonna stick with. I'm gonna go with Deontay Johnson. Or I'm sorry, I want to go with Benjamin. I like Deontay Johnson as the number 2 option here, but I just want anybody going against Seattle's run defense.
Yeah, I'm going Eno here too because I think he's safe with a good upside. Amari Cooper is probably my number 2 ahead of Deontay Johnson. I don't think people give Amari Cooper credit for how good he is. He can beat anybody.
I just don't like
matches.
I don't like this week. It's not even a matchup. I think he's getting double teamed more than he's not getting single covered today. I can't imagine. If he's getting single covered, he's going to eat us alive. But if he's getting double teamed, it's going to be a lot tougher to find some receptions.
Drake London or Alec Pierce?
And
I'm going Drake London.
I'm going to go with Alec Pierce solely on matchup.
Splitting the room.
Yeah, Drake London is definitely the more talented guy, but with the matchup, and honestly, I it's not saying much, but the quarterback situation is pretty equal. But
I don't know. I think Mariota's better than Matt Ryan. I think Atlanta's the one that got the upgrade at quarterback.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because the bolster of Indianapolis was their offensive line, and they're also playing terrible this year.
They're playing bad,
horrible. They got one dude, obviously. Quentin Nelson is elite, probably the best guard in the league, but everybody else is doing horrible. And we saw last year Matt Ryan struggled really bad last year when his offensive line couldn't hold up. So I do think he's the better passer than Mariota, but it's just a terrible situation for him again.
You guys think Dion is a star? I think it just depends on what options you've got. I think there's a lot of value, a lot of replacement level running backs that are playing this week, and he would be at the bottom of my list of those replacement level guys. So Kenneth Walker coming in with Penny out now. Darrell Henderson. Who else we got? We got somebody else I was just thinking of. Yeah, I think Dion and Lindsay. I think those guys are at the bottom of the tier of replacement running backs this week. So he can be started, but it would really depend on who else is an option. And then he asked, must or risky? I think they are risky because I think either one of those running backs could end up being the one that scores the most out of there. We split them on. This is why we normally have 3 people so that we don't have these splits like this. So sorry that we couldn't give you a definitive answer there. I do think, maybe somebody in the chat will throw in there which one they like over London or Pierce. CeeDee Lamb, Christian Kirk, Kenneth Walker at the flex. And thanks. No problem. It's Monster.
Man. I think I'm gonna go Kenneth Walker.
That's the problem. I'm gonna have him between him and CeeDee Lamb, right?
Yeah, it is. And it's CD is going up against the best secondary he's had to go against this entire season as well.
I'll take the touches because CeeDee Lamb,
I think so too.
Even with Amari Cooper gone, has been kind of inconsistent as the guy, right? So, we haven't seen that consistent alpha dog out of CeeDee Lamb, and that's what kind of worries me. And we know Kenneth Walker, out of all these guys, is going to get touches. He's going to get a lot of touches. We know Seattle's always going to be run first. So I'm going to go with Kenneth Walker as well. Flex, half PPR for Ben here, says Kirk, Jacoby Myers, or J.K. Dobbins. I think, did we have this exact question from somebody else earlier?
I don't know if we did or not.
I know we've had a lot of Kirk and a lot of Dobbins and a lot of Myers.
I don't think J.K. and Myers have been put in the same one.
That's what I'm thinking. They might be different. We've had a bunch of all 3 of these guys. I'm going J.K. Dobbins. It's in between him and Myers for me.
Yeah, it's definitely between him and Myers. Man, I think I'm going to go with Jacoby. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me that Jacoby sees as many targets as JK does rushing attempts. In all reality. Yeah, we can put a little $5 on that. I like Jacoby.
We didn't have a $5 bet last week. We need to get one on the books for today.
This is a good one. This is a good one. I like Jacoby. I bought a signed mini.
I like both of them too. I've picked Jacoby in every one that he's been in, I think, up until this point. So I think that's a good one. Dobbins
and I picked
versus
JK
Myers.
in all mine too.
Right? So we just kind of flip-flopped once we got there, but you're a homer, so that makes sense.
Yeah. I got a mini helmet coming with him, signed by him here Monday. So I like
that.
Be up here on display.
Poke Real says, yeah, my running backs and even flex plays crush them. Yeah, then I wouldn't start either of the Colts running backs if you have better plays. And then Hisham says, it's a coin flip. That's the London and Pierce one. And then this one. How the hell are we here? Right?
It's crazy though, because like Evan Ingram is so talented. Like, and we've always talked about like, man, Evan Ingram needs to be on a team where he gets the opportunity, and I think he's on it now, which is good. So, but we wouldn't expect him to be in this conversation with Pitts at the beginning of the season,
right? And it's funny. Last year we were talking about Pitts. Like, if he could have an Evan Ingram rookie year, then that would be good for a rookie, right? And he didn't quite get there, but I think I'm still going Kyle Pitts. I'm giving him a couple more weeks. I
don't think this week I'm going Kyle Pitts. He's going against San Fran. I'm going to go with Evan Ingram against Indianapolis. Indianapolis is, I think, ranked 28th against the tight end in fantasy.
Yeah, points. But Kyle Pitts is just better.
He is better. He is better, but
you can't use defense versus the tight end when it comes to Kyle Pitts, and really even Evan Ingram, right? Because they're going to move all over the line of scrimmage. Mm-hmm. They're not going to be in line all the time. They are receiver first tight ends. So I think those matchups points against tight ends are misleading when it comes to guys like this at the tight end position. I'm going Pitt still, and it's dangerous because the usage hasn't been there, but I think at some point they have to be smarter and utilize him, right? Like, their offense is poo sauce, and now they're missing their Swiss Army knife, and they need those options. I'm going Kyle Pitts there. I would switch that $5 bet if you wanted.
No, we can run another one. You want Ingram versus?
Okay, put it down. Yeah, I agree that CD is Cooper's guy, but it's just I don't love it. Irv Smith at tight end, an emergency option. Yeah, after you get literally, like, let's be honest, right? After you get past what Andrews, Goddard, and Kelsey, everybody else is kind of just like in a pool. Pick one out and hope they score a touchdown that week. Taysom Hill's different, right? He's probably in there this week with everybody out, but tight end is a mess.
Njoku's also been a guy that I've been a lot. I mean, he's had like 3 or 4 consistent weeks in a row, I'm pretty sure. So he might be another guy I put near the top end of that, outside of them. But yeah.
Thomas, another Roto Heat team member here, says he would go London. In that London versus Pierce.
There you go.
With Pitts playing. So that kind of breaks it up for you, Hisham, if you're still around. Should I start T. Higgins with his injury or start Devonta Smith? I'm going T. Higgins still.
Man. I really am. I think I'm higher on Devonta Smith than most people. I'm going to go with Devonta Smith. I'm going to go with the team that the offense that's been rolling way better. And that's the only reason. I want to see T. Higgins back from this injury. I mean, if he was a game time decision today, he's not 100% where Devonta Smith appears to be. I guess nobody's ever 100%, but he's probably at least 95, where T. Higgins might be around 80. So I'll go Devonta Smith this week.
Dang, let's go. So Custer's up at the MSPT in Michigan playing that tournament. They had 2,400 people. They're down to about 250. They're hand for hand for the money. And
Bubble boy.
Yep, they're on the bubble right now to get into the money. Cashing is 2,500 on the $1,100 buy-in. First place is
How's he
340K.
He's sitting pretty good.
He's probably middle of the pack.
Okay, that's usually good.
In chips, he went in. He was in the bottom third, but he's had a pretty good start to the day. They started at 11 a.m., so pretty good. But I might have to jump in the car and fly up to Battle Creek, Michigan later tonight if he's got a big stack getting closer to that money. So looking forward to that. Ben says thanks. I think they're all good plays. I'll go with Myers. Brady versus the depleted Steelers secondary or Hurts? It's Hurts.
It's got to be Hurts. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Brady just eats today, but I'd be looking to trade him. I'd really be looking to trade Brady today. Go find somebody that's got a QB on a buy. Well, there's not really any big QBs on buys this week, but go find somebody that's hurting at QB and try and trade him Brady because he's about to go nuts today. But Hurts is too good to bench.
Eno Benjamin or Joe Mixon? This is Joe Mixon for me.
Yeah, Joe Mixon. His volume is just so insane. Like
I would love to find a way to get both of them in the lineup, though.
For sure.
I like Eno Benjamin a lot this week. Sarah needs to know. Half PPR, sit one. Gabe Davis, Marquise Brown. Not sitting Marquise Brown. T. Higgins.
I'm sitting Gabe Davis.
I'm sitting Gabe Davis out of those three as well.
I mean, I want any part of that game, but when it comes to T. Higgins, he's just far superior, more talented.
Marquise Brown has to be in your lineup this week.
Yeah, he's the number one out of these dudes.
Yeah. It feels weird that this is a legit question, but Rondale Moore or Juju Smith-Schuster? I mean, why does it feel weird? Like, this is the Juju we've seen for, since that huge second year with Antonio Brown.
He hasn't done anything since Antonio Brown's been gone.
Yeah, so it's I agree. It is weird, but Rondale for me.
Yeah, Rondale. I've been calling him Doo-Doo Smith-Schuster for a couple of years now. So.
Doo-Doo Smith-Schuster. Isn't it crazy?
He's that good.
This dude was in talks as the number one wide receiver in fantasy, and now we're trying to figure out if he's even playable.
Oh, yeah.
Need some help, gents. Full PPR. Start one wide receiver and one flex. Judy, Boyd, Singletary, or Zeke. Judy, Boyd, Singletary, or Zeke. I think I'm starting Judy and Singletary.
I think I'm going to agree with Judy and Singletary. I like Zeke better as a talent, but, man, that Buffalo Bills game with the Chiefs gives you more incentive to watch it. And then Philly's run defense is very good. I think if anybody's going to have a successful week against that defense, it's going to be Tony Pollard. So I'll go with Singletary and Judy and feel comfortable about it.
Yeah, and I think there's just so much more touchdown. I think Singletary's got the most upside for multiple touchdowns out of these four this week.
Yeah, they get inside the 5 or 10. I mean,
yeah,
for sure.
Also, full PPR, flex one, Hunt, Dylan, ETN, or Kyle Pitts. I think we're going to agree that Kyle Pitts is out on this one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of easy. I'm going Kareem Hunt.
I'm going Kareem Hunt as well. That's what I was going to say. I would love to see him get traded as well.
That would be really, really nice.
Could you imagine if Kareem Hunt got traded to Buffalo?
Yeah. I would like to see him in Buffalo or even Miami. Miami be a good spot for him. I wouldn't mind seeing him end up with Arizona either. Like, it would make sense. I don't know. There's a lot of teams that could use running back.
Perry needs to know, CD, Deontay, or Devonta Smith?
Man, wow. Jeesh. I'm going to go with, man. It's so hard to be right on this one.
It is so hard to be right. And these are the questions I hate because then they come back the next week. You told me wrong. And I'm like, well, I mean.
Well, you gave me a hard decision here. I mean, like, CD's going against the best defense he's going against all year. Devonta is as well. Deontay Johnson's probably going to get more targets than both of them. But how many of them are going to be quality targets? Where Devonta Smith is probably getting the best quality targets, but he's going to get less than CD. And then who has the most touchdown upside? Probably Devonta. So I'm gonna go with Devonta Smith here, even though I honestly think that I usually never go with this, but I think he might get the least amount of volume, but I just don't think it's going to be a substantial amount in comparison to his touchdown upside.
This is such a hard one. A hard one to be right on, right?
You can't go wrong putting any of these guys in.
I'm
saying is being wrong.
For me, it's between CD and Deontay as the number ones for their team. The guys that I know are going to get volume, and I'm probably going to go CD because I do think that he has more touchdown upside. So I'm CD, but it's so close. It could be any three of those. That's a tough one. And then Perry also wants to know Jags or Vikings defense.
Jags. We just talked about how bad the offensive line is for the Colts. I could see multiple sacks.
Yep, I'm going
and
Jags
interception
well.
and fumbles. I mean, geez.
Yeah, it's everything.
All of it.
Right now, we talked about this, Perry. So what you want to do on defense, you want to find quarterbacks that turn the ball over, right? So right now you've got Matt Ryan, who is on pace to break the fumble record and is leading the league in interceptions. So you get the best of both worlds. Lots of turnover opportunities in that game. Spubsy wants to know, am I crazy for wanting to take the chance on Wan'Dale Robinson over Rondale Moore today? I already have Hollywood Brown in my lineup. I mean, I don't think so. The Giants desperately need a receiving option, right? And I think Wan'Dale Robinson is in a very similar position of Rondale Moore, where they could get the same amount of work, even though the Giants will throw less than Arizona. So I don't think you're crazy. I probably still go Rondale Moore in that very juicy shootout potential game, but I don't think it's necessarily crazy. Bryce?
I don't think it's insane either, because I mean, Richie James has been stepping up. So Wan'Dale Robinson comes in there, he can immediately have an impact. I mean, Tony and Tony, I don't know if Tony will play a snap for New York the rest of the season either. Seems like he wants out of there. Kenny Golladay is crap. Wan'Dale could easily come in there and immediately make an impact. I'm still going to go Rondale Moore over him, but I don't think it's crazy at all.
Thomas says if he was an NFL team, he would trade for Hunt over CMC because of that contract. But don't necessarily disagree, but CMC made his contract less to be able to be traded this year.
I think it was just for this year, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, he's better. I mean, I think CMC helps you win a Super Bowl, and the money doesn't matter, right? I think they both can, but I don't think you worry about the money with CMC, especially for this year because he made it lower. I think it's like what 1.8 or something. I read it the other day, but CMC definitely makes your whole offense better. Abreu here, and I hope that's him pitching. I hope he's makes the big leagues. Lazard, Ayuk, or McKenzie? Pick two. Who are you sitting out of Lazard, Ayuk, and McKenzie?
I'm gonna sit Ayuk. I'll stick with Lazard and McKenzie. Lazard being, I guess, arguably the number one option, either him or Doubs, and then McKenzie. I want, like I said earlier today, there's two games I want a part of, and that's one of them. So I'll go with McKenzie and Lazard. I'll sit Ayuk.
I'm gonna sit Lazard and go with Ayuk and McKenzie. I just think that McKenzie, obviously, we've talked about this. The slot receiver in Josh Allen's offense is big. We see it doesn't matter if it's Cole Beasley, McKenzie, or Khalil Shakur. That slot is a big part of that offense. So I want McKenzie in there, and then I just think Ayuk's better than Lazard, and go there. Now Joe says this is for Bryce because he's playing against me this week. So he wants you to pick two: Waddle, Higgins, Lockett, leaning Lockett and Waddle. Where are you at with that?
Man, the other game I want a big part of is that freaking Seattle game. Oh, geez. I'm going to go with Lockett and Waddle as well. Honestly, I think I like Lockett the most this week out of these three options. I just don't know how Skylar Thompson's going to use Waddle. I would almost argue putting Higgins in over Waddle this week. But
that's what I would do.
I think I'm going to go Lockett and Higgins.
That's what I would do personally.
I don't know about Waddle without Tua. Like I think he's really, really good. And if Tyreek Hill wasn't there, it'd be Waddle. But Tyreek Hill's there. I think that quarterback is going to lean on Tyreek, and I think they're going to make sure the run game's established today. Or Waddle kind of is the guy that gets hit when Tua is not in that offense with Tyreek in it.
Yeah, I would go Lockett and Higgins, and personally, but I get the injury concerns with Higgins, and everything, and having that option of Waddle is a nice one to have, but I think I do go Lockett and Higgins there. He also wants to know Dobbins or Kenneth Walker against me. 0.5 PPR. I'm going Dobbins myself.
Yeah, I'm going Dobbins as well. It keeps asking me questions of these good players against the game that I want every part of.
Right.
It's just hard. But I'm not sure how involved DJ Dallas will be either. Like, he's not like he stepped in last year and did all right when he got the opportunity. So I want to see what Kenneth Walker does as a full starter before I'm putting him over guys like J.K. Dobbins.
Najee or Isaiah McKenzie and flex standard league. I'm going Najee myself.
Man, standard is what makes it interesting for me.
Really, because I think Isaiah is like the PPR guy. Najee's at least going to get carries.
He is, but like if you had to pick
how
one of these guys,
how are we here?
Yeah, if you get one of these guys to fall in the end zone, I mean that game could be this Bills and Chiefs game could be just like the playoffs last year, where it's like everybody's just eating. I'm gonna go Najee as well. I'm gonna go Najee just because Isaiah McKenzie is the third option where like I guess fourth option in touches. I think Singletary, Diggs, and Gabe Davis get more targets, touches than him, where Najee just has Deontay and Pickens.
Daniel Jones or Lawrence? Who are you going with there?
Give me Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes for me as well. I really trust Brian Daboll. He's the guy I really wish the Bears would have traded or signed as their head coach. But I like what he's doing with the Giants. He's doing good things with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones keeps flashing, and if they had wide receivers, I think Daniel Jones could surprise people.
He played amazing last week. He just didn't get in the end zone. That's all it was. I mean, he played a phenomenal game last week.
And he's got that rushing upside that Lawrence doesn't have, right? Connor says full PPR, Pitts or Hurst, Boyd or Higgins. I'm going Pitts and Higgins.
Pitts and Higgins for me as well.
And then Edward says Godwin versus Pitt or Sutton versus LA, full PPR. I'm already starting Lenny and Mike Evans. So would you sit Godwin here simply because you're already starting two pieces of that Tampa Bay offense? Hard for all three of them to go off. I think I would start Sutton.
I don't know. I mean, last week, all of them had pretty good weeks, right? I mean, I think Godwin had 13, Mike Evans had like 15, and then Lenny Fournette had like 30 or something. I think I'm still going to start Godwin here, honestly. I'd be looking to trade a piece, though. I think I would be doing that. I think I'd be looking to trade Godwin. Actually, if it's a redraft, I'd be looking to trade Godwin. If it's a dynasty league, I'd be looking to move Evans.
Yep, I could agree with all that. Okay, this is going to be the last one. Akers unlikely to ever play for the Rams again, per Jay Glazer. No clue what happened, but huge news for Henderson. And potentially Kyron Williams ends up leading this backfield in the future. Yeah, I mean, if I was a running back, I wouldn't want to be running behind that offensive line anyway. So I think it could only be a benefit for Akers getting out of there. If they can't trade him and he has the opportunity to go anywhere and could land in somewhere like Buffalo or Miami, maybe we see – this kid, we've never seen, even going back to college, we've never seen Akers with a good offensive line, right? So
100%,
couldn't hurt, but maybe he's just not a guy, right? Maybe he's just not that good. Maybe he's got attitude problems and that's what's going on. But it can't hurt to get him out of LA. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. A talent that I did really like, but who knows? He just may be a bust, right?
Yeah, I think he's got plenty of talent. I think he's got some mental things going on, and I'm not going to speak on any of them because I have no clue what it is. I don't know if he's upset with the organization or if he's got other things outside of football that are affecting him. But obviously, whatever it is affecting his playing time and production on the field. So I think he just needs out of LA.
Yep. And then that kind of plays into this one, ETN or Henderson, and I think we're both going to go Henderson here with Akers out, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Henderson's already pretty good out of the backfield, and now he's getting all the touches as the running back. I'll take Henderson easily.
So that is going to be it for today. It's funny. At about 20 till, we didn't know if we were even going to make it to noon, and then you guys came in with a rush of questions here at the end. We love it. Thanks for keeping us busy throughout the last basically 2 hours. We appreciate all of you showing up. If you can, please hit that like button, subscribe, and don't miss any of the live streams throughout the week. Tuesday, Dynasty at 8 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday, Redraft at 9 p.m. Eastern. Plus, we drop upwards of around 30 videos every week with some fantasy insight for you guys. We appreciate you. Bryce, any last words?
Good luck in all your fantasy matchups, and unless you're playing, well, you know what? And some of them, good luck in those ones because I want to lose. And the ones I want to win,
I want better draft picks.
Yeah, I wish.
We are out of here. Thank you all again.